CHICKEN. Use the code CHICKEN in the shop.
Hey guys, the chicken is here. We are back today with another Boom Beach video. In today's video, guys, we're going to be doing two things. One, I'm going to see the bunkers in action, I think for the first time since we did the sneak peeks. And two, we're going to talk about some of the problems that we had with Season 61. So let's get right on into the good stuff. We're going to claim our supply chest. And let's start off with Hammerman Strikes Back. So diving right into it, I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below and your comments and your opinions. It's not just about what the chicken thinks, it's about what the community thinks, that being you guys. So I want to know, do you think... Actually, here's what I want you to do. I want you to rate the season out of 10, and then I'll give it my rating and go over the reasons why. So, rate out of 10, you know, write something you like. If not, just comment down below what you would rate it out of 10, because I am very interested to see what people thought about this last season, because I feel like it was, you know, functionally it was okay. Like, it was fine. Like, there was no bugs or nothing game breaking. And with some of the seasons, I mean, we got to take that into account. Like, were we actually able to play the season and complete it? You know, so that factors in a little bit. So I can't say it was the worst season ever or anything crazy like that. But I think it was definitely a swing and a miss. I think it was definitely a miss-hit season. Now, before I trash the season a little bit, I do want to say, like, at least, number one, we have devs. And number two, at least they are, you know, taking risks. Because I feel like to make Warships even better, you have to make some risky moves. You have to do things that the community potentially won't like. Not even that. You have to just try stuff, and it's either going to work really well or it's not going to work really well. And the thing with Warships is, it's like, if you kind of go off of, you know, what we know to work, it's pretty rare that it ends up working. Like, you usually run into some problems somewhere, and, you know, for the most part, it comes down to fizzling, or sometimes you'll have, like, the artillery meta where it was like, you know, a 2-second attack, who can spam their artilleries down the fastest, stuff like that we want to try to avoid. But I think there just needs to be more internal testing done to avoid, you know, at the very least, to avoid fizzling. Because whenever we play those metas, and I feel like this is worth talking about this season, because it seemed like a lot of people quit around the 60R mark, and we had a very low top 500, I think, because of that. Or just a very low, you know, it seemed like, maybe my experience, maybe you guys had different experiences. Again, that's why I want to hear from down below. It's not like one person's, you know, player experience can speak for the entirety of the season. But it felt like a lot of people quit, which is never good, because that leads into slower matchmaking, and then also worse matchmaking, because then you get paired up kind of all over the place. Not that that had a huge impact, but it definitely has an impact at the same time. So I feel like if they're going to test new things, and they're going to, you know, put stuff in different places, like this season was kind of cool in the sense that we had the big, like, loop around at 60R in the tech tree, and you could essentially, like, get most of the tech tree before going to 7. Like, the idea was kind of interesting, but what ended up happening was defense was so much stronger. And it's not even necessarily just the defense. It's whenever you pair really good defense with a base that can be made like ultra compact. Typically those things, whenever you have two of those together, it just leads to fizzle fest, because it's somewhat rare when the defense in the tech tree or in Warships is really, really strong and able to prevent people from finishing bases. We don't too often see people not playing that style and going the offensive route, because you can either, typically if you do go that offensive route, then you end up getting the defense anyways, because you're ahead in tech, and you end up being able to do both. And then everyone else just ends up playing defense, because if you don't have the right defense and you're not able to clear engines because you don't have the offense, then you're just going to lose every time, right? So at least with the defense, you can win those 50-50. But I feel like they just can't... They either have to do a couple different things. They have to make the troops a little bit stronger, or if they are going to make defense really strong, you got to put heavy choppers earlier. Like, I feel if heavy choppers were in 6 then this last season specifically, then that would have solved a lot of the issues. Because as soon as we got to heavy choppers in 7, it seemed like that issue was solved. And for me, it was a little bit frustrating because I wasn't really playing a lot during that whole 6 time. I was kind of just chest collecting. Sometimes I'd win a couple and then push for a little bit and see. But for the most part, I was just hiding. And when you're hiding all season, it's annoying. And having to play on the very last day, like 10 times more than you had to play the rest of the season, is not like the greatest player experience. And I was having a lot of fun at 70R once I figured out the attack. And I thought that meta was really good. And I just, I was thinking, I kind of wish, why didn't we have this a week ago? Or most players have this a week ago. Like, that would have been, a lot more fun than trying to get an engine and then, oh my god, you finally cleared a whole base, you got to force close, and then, it's just, I don't know. I just, I hope that they can make some changes so that doesn't happen all the time. And I think there's this kind of, I don't know how to say it, but I feel like the devs have it misconstrued that when you put, how do I say this right? When you make the metas like something that we're used to, like heavy rush at the beginning, or heavy choppers and bombers and 6 with Kavan or whatever, I think they misconstrue that as being bad because we've seen it before. And as long as it works and, you can finish the base, I think that's really important. Like, maybe not at all times. Like maybe make it difficult, or to the point where, sometimes you fizzle and sometimes you get through. But I think it should always be possible to completely finish the base. And I'm not saying it was entirely impossible last season, but it was at least too difficult, in my opinion. And there was definitely some points, I'm sure everybody experienced some points where it was impossible to fully clear the base. So I feel like those need to be figured out a little bit better. I can't believe we're doing so well on Hammerman. Those need to be figured out a little bit better. And whether it's moving the troops earlier on, I don't know. It just seems like the last couple seasons they've really tried to push away from heavy choppers and bombers, which is fine. I'm all for it as long as there's viable troops in place of that actually work. When we're using heavies and rocket choppers with 6 rocket launchers, doom cannons, and sky shields with 200, whatever it was, 160 building health, and that's not a viable solution. That just makes the game not fun if you don't give us something that's able to clear the base. Like, I'm all for mixing it up, and I want to say that they've done a good job of mixing it up for sure. But you got to find that balance. But Warships, the whole game mode is just around balance, and that's that's the fun part of the player to try to figure out too, right? You got to figure out that balance within your tech tree, and if you screw it up, then that's on you for sure. But yeah, so long way to say that I felt like they missed the mark on the last season. If I was to rate it out of 10, I'd give it maybe a 5.5 or a 6. And that's mostly because it was just actually playable and because the meta was fun towards the end. It goes so fast early on that, it's nice to have a cool meta at the beginning, but it's not the end of the world because it doesn't end up mattering for that long. I do remember the progression towards the beginning of the season being fairly consistent. I didn't see any bombers come out there. Did you guys? That was weird. Let's try that again. We can watch a replay, but I'm not quite done blabbering away just yet. But yeah, I would give it a 5.5, maybe a 6. Maybe a 6.5 if we had stayed at the 70R meta a little bit longer. But yeah, I felt like they kind of missed the mark with this one, unfortunately. But yeah. So I'm interested to hear what you guys think, for sure. To get more, input and feedback is always a good thing. All right, now let's see when these doodlers come out. One of them should be coming out now. Oh, the bunker actually shoots missiles? That's crazy. Oh, no, wait, I've got bombers out, right? They must be behind the bunker. Okay. It looked like that's why. There's my bomber. There he is. Oh, they shoot from inside it. Okay. Maybe? that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. They didn't really do a whole lot for us, so it's not really worth the gold draw, but pretty cool nonetheless. So yeah. I don't know if I had anything else to say with season 61. Yeah, I just hope that they can figure out that right balance for the next season. Looks like my game is stuck. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I hope they can figure out the right balance for the next season, guys. And let me know what you think down below. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a like if you found it interesting, entertaining, or informative. Catch the next one, guys. Check it out. Back.